Thank you very much for watching the previous video. In this segment, we're going to talk about religious literacy. This is actually one of the harder ones for me to talk about because I think religious literacy is important, but I'm always very cautious about it because sometimes I think it gets equated with faith. And I think that that's dangerous. I know for a lot of our candidates, their experience of religion is going to religion class and learning history and memorizing things, and it becomes like a class. But what happens when that's our only experience is that we kind of outsource our faith to the ability to memorize things and have it make sense in an argumentative sort of way. And that's not faith. At the same time, there's an importance to us being literate in our religious tradition. And that's, I hope, what the religion classes that they've been a part of have done. It's given them the ability to speak in this very unique and special language that our community uses to express our faith in God. So I like to talk about this in the same way I talk about language. At times in my life, have been more fluent in Spanish, but I've learned to speak Spanish over time. And maybe you yourself come from a family where you're bilingual or work on other languages. But when you're learning, I didn't start learning Spanish until I was in my 20s. And when you're learning another language, it can be embarrassing. You say things that you didn't know what they meant, and then somebody will start laughing, and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I just say? That's happened to me when I was learning Spanish. I would say something wrong, and then afterwards I would say, oh, lo siento, estoy embarazada, which is doubly funny because when I say estoy embarazada, that actually doesn't, it sounds like it means I'm embarrassed, but that's not what it means. It means I'm pregnant, which is the complete wrong thing to say. It's even more embarrassing when you say something like that. Our faith has a language to it. It's a language that's filled with unique insights and histories and details that you have to learn how to speak if you want to participate in the conversation. I remember about learning Spanish. It took a lot of work. And our faith language can have that same challenge to it. When we review the doctrines of the faith and the traditions of the church, we haven't been giving anybody faith. Your faith is a gift to you from within. It comes from God alone. But by teaching you these things, we have been giving you the tools to express faith and to engage in a conversation with the rest of the Catholic community. Not having a developed understanding of that language is like surrendering your voice and making you effectively mute. I mean, I feel that way in Spanish sometimes. If people are talking real fast and I don't know all the words, I kind of go into the background and I feel left out of the conversation. I don't want any of the candidates to ever feel that way in their church. That's why I want you to know the language of the church. I want you to know the histories and the materials that we use in the church to express ourselves. We want to improve your religious literacy so that when you hear a term like the Immaculate Conception, you don't go blank and saying, well, what does that mean? By the way, what does that mean? Hopefully you've learned this, but it's actually one of the trickier things. The Immaculate Conception doesn't mean that you're pregnant. It means that God's love is so pregnant that Mary was actually a pure vessel of love that was able to give birth to our Savior, Jesus Christ. We don't want you to be left out of the conversation. We want you to know these details, and that requires constant growth and constant learning, not just in your classes, but in your life, week after week, month after month, coming to know more deeply the tradition of our faith. Now, I can guarantee you, you will never know everything about the church. But moving towards more understanding is moving to use your voice and making less mistakes when you speak in the church. So you don't say anything like, estoy embarazada. All right, let's take a few moments with the questions that are after this video and share those back and forth, sponsor and candidate. Thanks.